normally it's like a collection of all kinds of different doing all kinds of different projects. And this is the first time I'm like, it's just the four of us, and we all do the same thing.
Just talking about our kids.
Yeah. And I'm like, should we just talk about yours? But that's not where we're gonna. Well, it'll probably come up. But this is Next Gen Nerds is the theme of the panel, and at this point we are all four creators, and we do lots of different content and everything. But we also have kids, and we also have a dad who does a lot of the
original creator.
Co-creator.
Oh God,
we should establish something I'm thinking about. Well, if the goal is Next Gen Nerds, I think you have to treat Dad as a full success.
Yeah.
Like, whatever he says does get like, you really can't get like, actually I did it too good, and my sons are nerds like for a living now. So I maybe overshot it. If
that
that
actually comes up when Teresa and I was ever like, I don't know, is it too much screen time? I'm like, babe, look at me.
Yeah.
Like, Dad let us watch TV all the time.
Yeah.
Now, 90% of the references on my brother and me are TV shows we watched together growing up. Wait, so we should start with the intro. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go down the line.
You're not even gonna give Dad a chance to respond to all the heinous shit you just said.
I was playing a compliment.
I meant
in the narrow context
well,
of
it's
this
just
exact panel.
Yeah, he was trying to make Next Gen football guys, and at some point just realized, nah.
We're gonna go down, we're gonna introduce ourselves. I want you to say your name, and I also want you to say like a very clear, positive convention memory. It could be from a convention you attended. No, not this one. I mean, at some point, it could be from a convention you attended, when you worked, whatever, but like a fun convention.
One time, this is gonna sound...
Say your name.
I'm Griffin McElroy. And one time, I came to... I don't do these that often. That's more like Travis and Dad's thing. But one time I came to one of them, and there was someone in the talent room who was doing massages. Are you kidding me? That was nice.
Okay.
Do you want something a little more?
Well, how about I'll give mine?
You
and
do
then,
yours.
Okay, I'm Travis McElroy, and I have this memory, and there was this new Superman show about to come out called Smallville. And I want to say we were at a convention center in like, it might have been Cincinnati, might have been Columbus.
Columbus.
Yeah, and they had a room where they were just on a loop showing the trailer. And the trailer for Smallville was just the scene where like Lexi's car goes off the bridge and like Clark's there. And I sat in that room and I watched that trailer 4 times in a row. And I was just like, this looks incredible! And I stand by it is an incredible show. But like that to me was like, I didn't know they just showed parts of a cool TV show at conventions. This is great. Now you want to talk about
I'm just gonna stick with mine. I had traveled all day. I was very sore.
Okay. A person rubbed your body and it was nice.
Hey, I'm Justin McElroy. I have so many lovely memories from cons, it's hard to narrow it down. But, y'all, every time I see a Spider-Man trying to pee, it just gets better every time. You would think that would stop being really good.
Or that Spider-Man suit technology would improve to a degree where it would be a fiasco every time.
I think there's a moment where the Spider-Man is like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Wait, why is my Spidey sense tingling? Oh, I can't. Okay.
That wasn't really so much an open invitation for everybody to riff. I kind of wanted to talk.
It's kind of his turn.
Yeah, so it's kind of my thanks, Daddy. And that's really special every time I see a Spider-Man pee. I've seen a Hulk washing off all his paint in the sink, and that's very good too. Every time I go over to him, I'm just like, hey, just calm down. And they don't really seem to enjoy that. That's my favorite. Daddy?
Mine is also urinal related.
Right?
And it's from about 15 minutes ago when I was side by side with Anson Mount, Captain Pike, in the restroom goes on.
You don't want to know what it'll change to. So,
Things are set on awkward.
You got my number today, Jim.
oh boy. So, right off the bat, I just want to, what is your kind of overall scope of, we're for people who really enjoy like different, the pieces of media that we love, that are very important to us. And Dad, when we were kids, and now guys with your kids, how do you go about introducing those things to them? How are you careful about that? How do you do it in a way that you don't feel pushy?
Do you want to start, Dad, since you did it first?
Well, it's just what was on. When you guys were growing up, it was kind of a heyday, especially for animated shows, because you had, He-Man and G.I. Joe, and everybody jumped on those trains all at once. And of course, you were well indoctrinated with the Disney stuff, and it was kind of cool. I remember Justin and I having a conversation one time. This harkens back to your Smallville thing. We were pulling into some town. From the airport.
We were in San Diego, yeah.
Well, we were in an airport one time coming in, and you saw a billboard, and you said, the fact that there's a Green Arrow TV series, and I've never seen it,
Yeah.
amazes me.
There's so much now.
Because-
compared to, the terrible superhero programming that we grew
Oh,
up on.
I was telling somebody the other day, I think that there was a period, it's a cycle, there's a period where people who didn't understand how to make comic book related TV shows, movies, were in charge of TV shows and movies. And then people who got it were in charge. And now I think it's branched in another way, not a bad way, but I mean, it's like more speciality now. You want yours to be a mystery, you want yours to be a deconstruction of comic books. I think there's a lot more there. What is it? Thank you.
You would also show us some outside stuff though that you wouldn't have seen on TV, but you were always really good about choosing stuff that we would get into. Like Captain Harlock. Nerd, got you. And the one where the people have wings and it's a G something.
I ain't gonna say another damn
Yes.
They had helmets and they had medallions, and it's not Voltron.
Gundam.
Not Gun. It's G something. I don't know. Somebody will look it up.
G-Force.
G-Force. Thank you. But you would show stuff like that. A lot of John Woo movies on VHS. Stuff
Yes.
like that.
One time you did, I think because I was the last one, you had already done it twice, and so you wanted to speed up the process a little bit, because I do have one memory of when I was probably 6, and you showed me Babylon 5. I was like, why is this dude showing me this right now?
There was a lot where I look back and I'm like, why do I remember so many episodes of Sliders? There's a lot of that.
You don't understand how slim the pickings were back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also used to only have the one TV that connected to cable. So this is actually a thing I think about now, where BB, a lot of the stuff that she connects to is through YouTube videos and everything. And when we go on tour and she has to watch a TV, and she's like, put on the shows I like. And I'm like, that's not how the TV works outside of our own home, darling. And she's like, but Bluey, start Bluey. Make Bluey. Find a channel with Bluey on it.
You all laughed a second ago. You have to understand, when we were in our teen and formative years, there was a stretch of time where the best superhero show on TV was Jerry O'Connell in a polo shirt and jeans. He got blasted by a ray. The show is called My Secret Identity, and he flew around by, I kid you not, spraying aerosol cans and flying around that way. It was wild, and that was the best superhero show on TV.
So, but now it's interesting because I know that there are things that I love that I want to introduce to BB, but I also know from just like years of being me with friends how pushy I can be doing that. Yeah, gotcha. And I don't want to do that to her, and so what's always interesting is I see her connect to something on her own, and like for whatever reason, Captain Marvel, like Brie Larson, Captain Marvel just like grabbed her. At like age 3, she was like, I like her, I like this person. And so I was like, okay, here's a book about her. Oh, who's that she's joined by? Why is her friend Spider-Man?
How'd he get in here?
They're fighting a gent called the Green Goblin. Let me tell you about him.
I'm curious to hear, Dad, your take on this. I feel like I spend, with Henry, my 5.5-year-old, he is very into, like, the stuff he's into on YouTube, like Minecraft stuff and, like, Pokemon Nuzlocke animations. Not his own dad's videos. Thanks, son.
Well, he's too invested in that. He's like, not Dad's Pikachu.
Yeah. And Dad, I feel like I spend most of my time thinking about, like, monitoring that so that the dark gremlins that operate in the periphery of YouTube don't sneak in there like, hey, you want to see hey, kid?
You want to see Maui do a C-section? That's the thing. They make a Play-Doh belly, and there's a little toy inside. Get that baby out of there. I don't know.
What can I say except he's crowding?
Can I get a show of hands from people who in the audience who are familiar with the y'all are gonna think you know what weird YouTube is, but like Maui getting a C-section kids YouTube. Who's oh wow, precious few. Fantastic. Yeah, it's wild out there. Did you spend any time I guess you didn't have to monitor what we watched since you usually brought it into the home.
But did you ever worry about that with video games? That's a thing that seemed like that was a big conversation, like in my teen years. People talk about video games make kids bad.
Well, I think one of the differences is, and I don't know if this is bragging or if this is self-confession, but I watched the stuff with you.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, so, and because I was a fan too. And, really and truly, I never worried about, I worry about it more now with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Because it is awfully easy when they're swiping on the pad, when you're on that super information highway.
Sure. Thank you.
Back in my day.
Yeah, okay.
You make a living on the internet. You're a digital creator. You don't get to play that card.
I have found it, as I try to show my kids stuff that was like meaningful to me or that I grew up really loving, I have found that it's a really good barometer for the actual quality of the thing versus maybe I just liked it when I was a kid. What I mean? Maybe that's all.
Maybe there wasn't a better option.
The stuff that, like, I'll give you a good example, Pee-wee's Playhouse. That lands, because it's really good.
Still watch that Christmas special.
Yeah, it's really, really good. The stuff that is good, I think, connects a lot better. And that seems obvious, right? But there's stuff that you just have, like, fond memories attached to or whatever. Some of it's, you go back and watch that 80s action heyday, it's rough.
I tell you what's great now, though, is getting to see, like, things like Bluey, and I would say Big City Greens, and like Loud House, these shows that BB got interested in, and our kids get interested in, and then you watch, you're like, well, I'm interested in this too. This is gonna be the thing that when they're, when they're 18, that they're like, do you remember this show? It really shaped the way I think about this. And it's amazing that some of that is like Bluey, which is so deeply beautiful and funny and good. And it's just like, oh man, I'm into this too, finding those things.
Well, but I think that's a different level. I think that the things that I'm talking about with you guys, the He-Mans and those things, I mean, you all, especially you two, you older,
Better.
Sesame Street, and the Muppets, and those things, the Muppet Show. Those were kind of, especially Sesame Street, the early on shows, 3, 2, 1 Contact, and great show, and shows like that were kind of that entry point for you guys, and I think that the things like Bluey and the one that Dora the Explorer and all the ones that your kids watch, I think is getting them ready for when they do move into that,
Yeah.
that next
Can,
level.
can you talk, I am genuinely curious, since Travis asked the question, if you hit any, if bringing video games into the home was ever like a tough decision, because there was a bit of moral panic, not that we were playing, Splatterhouse or anything like that.
We weren't that cool.
No.
On my part,
Yeah.
no, not really.
But on mom's, is what you're saying. On the responsible parents' part, yeah.
A responsible parent would this is why if she wandered into the room, I would go, okay, hand Dad the controller while we blow up these people.
And then, but we were already pretty well into games before things got to a point where it would even be close enough to realistic for it to be concerning. I mean,
And if you're
when we
looking at
started,
pixelated,
yeah, Atari 2600, it's not that there weren't one or two really bad games.
Yeah, sure.
There were, so I remember very clearly, I have this clear memory of GoldenEye being really big at the same time that school shootings became like a big, became a news
Yeah.
story and have continued on being a news story, unfortunately. And I have this clear memory of in Nintendo Power, there was like a whole story about this cool new, very realistic gun control that looked like a real gun and you could use it to play GoldenEye. I was like, that's what I want for Christmas. And then suddenly, that wasn't on the market anymore. Weird.
Have you all had any false starts with showing your kids stuff and then
Yeah.
been like, whoops, no, not this
When
quite
baby,
yet.
when Baby Yoda hit the scene,
Yeah.
Baby was like, oh yeah, this guy's great. And I was like, let me show you some other Yoda scenes. No.
Hey, hold on! Did you say, if you like this guy, you'll love seeing an old version of him die.
Whoa, spoilers, everybody! Sorry.
You like this baby? Here's his grandpa's funeral.
No, you simmer in that for a second, Travis. You earned that one.
One that I really love though is because Baby was really into dinosaurs and she was like, are there any movies with dinosaurs? No, hear me out. Where I was like, yes, but they're scary. And she was like, well, what are, and I started telling her about Jurassic Park and I was like, but it's scary. And she was like, I would like to watch it. And I was like, I'm not going to do that, it's scary. And she asked and asked and asked. So finally I was like, okay, here's a scene with a Triceratops in it. So I just showed her literally just the 3 seconds of the Triceratops. She was like, oh. And I showed her the one of them driving it and seeing the dinosaurs. She was like, oh. And she goes, anything with a T-Rex. And I was like, okay, no.
There's not a scene in that movie where the T-Rex is like, hi guys! Yeah, I'm in a cage.
And I was like,
actually, Griffin, it was, hi
and
guys!
I was like, no, this is too scary. And she back. She was like, okay. So I showed her the T-Rex and I'm sitting there with the thing. She's like, this isn't scary. I was like, all right. And I was offended. I was like, yes it is. You don't know.
If you were in a theater right now instead of on my phone, you'd know. How do you guys handle sometimes there's content that is of a certain quality, but does not, that I remember from my younger days, that does not, let's say, reflects our values anymore, or maybe
Never did.
or language, where it's
Yeah.
just evolving, where God, you know what it was? It was Encyclopedia Brown.
Oh boy.
I bet
Yeah,
you
which-
Encyclopedia Brown said some stuff.
It's from the 60s, originally, the series, which is about a little boy who solves crimes. If you don't know about Encyclopedia Brown. And there's a lot of interesting language for a lot of different people. Stuff that is maybe not great anymore. And I have to still keep driving the car and holding the wheel, but say, girls, you listen to me right now for a second. We're not gonna bust that one out, okay? And I'm gonna run the math are they paying close enough attention to where by calling attention to it, they're gonna be like, huh, what was it again? What's this cool word I can't say?
That's the thing where we've had to talk about, because I never wanted to tell BB that's a bad word, right? Because I believe that it's words and stuff like the F word or the S word. It's just curse words. I don't believe in curse words, right? But it's more I do know she's in kindergarten now. And I don't want some kid to take the toy and be like, now you listen here, mother. And I'm like, no, wait. So we've had to talk about those are powerful words. Those are words that we use when we're experiencing strong feelings and strong things that some people might be scared by that. By the right way to contextualize your power.
It's real easy to feel like a cool, smart, plays by their own rules parent and be like, whatever you want to say at home, kid, it's fine. Until that day when you're like walking them up to school, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, did I tell them not to?
This has been one thing that we do differently, because I have always, you may find this hard to believe, but like, I don't cuss when I'm at home, like in front of our kids, because of this. Like, I did not want him to. I'm so bad in social situations, so I try not to seed uncomfortable ones for myself in the future. And so we were like,
What's that like?
we were all together on like a vacation trip once, and we were swimming in the pool, and you guys just started ripping some foul stuff. And then Henry said, yes, out loud. And I remember thinking, like, I have been so good.
If he's gonna hear it eventually.
If you needed us to curtail that, you know we would have needed like a week-long seminar.
I gotta go through like a radiation decontamination show.
Griffin, I know what you're saying about awkwardness, but a kid cussing is just the best thing, and no adults ever. I've never
It's
seen
not
it.
really. It's not
No,
really.
it's
I've never
It's a
seen
bad
it.
bad
so
thing.
cool.
If I see an adult when my kid drops a real putrid one, if I see an adult like, like that's a pretty good barometer for someone I need outside my sphere. I don't want to hold them closer, you know?
Well, your kids are both exceptional cussers. Josh.
That is true.
They do it right.
Overly matured, some of my favorite, like some of, like, I think it's Cooper's favorite imagery is like Mike Myers and Freddy. No, it's Jason.
Yeah.
They have that little Jason light up thing for Halloween that I have great pictures of them like with their arm around it. I love that.
They love it. They're great at cursing.
Does that answer your question?
But so the thing is now this brings me to the other facet of this, which is we also, create things for, we have, our audience now, I would say, spans generations. Of we started making My Brother, and Me about 13 years ago. And so, right? So we have people that have kids, we have people that, were kids and are now in their 20s that are listening. We have people, I see people routinely talk about like, I made my mom or dad listen to this with me, and I'm like, you did? And now with the graphic novels out, people often like ask me like, is this okay to like let my 11-year-old read? I'm like, how cool are they? Like, do you guys party? Do you guys ever think about that? Does that ever influence like decisions you make on the show, things we do?
Can I, to be 100% honest, it recently has for me. Henry has become aware, because he watches YouTube so much, he has become aware of what, to some small degree, my job is.
In as much as you have a job.
And as much as I have a job, yeah, right? He understands it on a level that I have to explain to, like, distant relatives.
Right. It's an internet radio show?
Yeah, it's usually what we go with, but he started watching these. I mentioned the Nuzlocke thing earlier. He started watching these, and I was like, oh, I have one of those, and I showed him an episode, and I thought I kept it pretty clean in those, but it must have been a particularly painful few battles there, and so I was just ripping some cussers, and it all kind of came to a head where I was like, I don't think, if this is something I really want to, if I want to slow hand my exposure to my son to more mature level stuff, my stuff's not going to be the stuff that's going to get that done, unfortunately.
It's really interesting because I have shown BB, like My Brother, and Me animatics.
Yeah.
And there's one that's like cursing Jerry, like a cool kid. I'm like, that's too much. I'm not gonna do that. But most of the time, like, I don't really think about it, and then like we'll say something in it, and I'll kind of look at her like I'm gauging if she's gonna have an allergic reaction to it.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, okay, we're good. She didn't even notice. Let's keep going.
It kind of came to a head for me when the first time, and And I make no apologies, for what we do.
For anything.
For anything. Especially not to the people at this table.
Dad just keeps saying, always look forward, never look back. And he repeats that over and over again. So weird.
But,
Even after Connor's funeral.
I know, it's
that,
so
it was
weird.
so messed up.
So weird.
So in the podcast and in the subsequent graphic novels, I mean, we still maintain some salty language. And so I'll never forget, we're having lunch with Callista, the lady that brought us on board at First Second, and she said, oh, this is so awesome. We just closed a deal with the American Library Association. They're going to be putting your books in elementary school libraries.
Yeah! Shaping America's
And my
future
first face
today.
was, my second face was, so, yeah, but I think that wasn't my decision. I mean, if they had come to us and said, hey, do you think we should put these in elementary school libraries? And I'd say, well, I don't know, maybe middle school, maybe.
Well, the interesting thing, right, that always kind of, I don't know, I struggle with is a balance between, is it stuff that is inherently, wrong for kids to be exposed to that early, or is it stuff that, societally, culturally, we have all agreed is, maybe they're too
We
young?
took the Jizz Cave out, right?
Yeah. But, for
So
example,
what are they complaining
I know.
about?
There's a moment in Pedals to the Metal where somebody gets squished by a car lift.
Yeah.
And BB was looking through her copy and she said, "What's all this red stuff?" And I was like, "Well, that's blood, honey." And she's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because this guy got squished." And she's like, "Why did Magnus squish him?" And I was like, "Ah."
It was funny.
I was like, "Shut up, that guy was hurting his friend." Anyways, here's a picture of Magnus's butt. And she's like, "Ah, that's funny." It's not that I don't think that there was anything bad about that, so much as the intricacies of why all this happened is a level I am not ready to explain to you, my 5-year-old.
It really is wild the way that kids absorb and reproduce. The most
Tell me about it.
the most unpredictable parts of the media that you consume, the stuff you do not expect. I think the first cool thing I ever showed Henry was Into the Spider-Verse, because it had just come out, and it was I was like, this is the best animated superhero movie I've ever seen, and Henry was starting to get interested in that. So we watched a little bit of it together. Did fast forward past the introductory death sequence that he probably would not be able to handle. But we got to the end of the movie, and he was enraptured, and then he looked at me, and he did a jump, and then he yelled, "Spider Man," and slapped me in the face.
And was your takeaway, I gotta work on my reflexes.
I'm just glad you didn't show him John Wick.
We were two ships passing us and superhero stuff at the time. I said, "I'll see you we'll try this again in a few months, superhero stuff." So the last thing I want is to create something that some child will one day read and be like, "Abracadabra," and stab someone with a fork or whatever.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
My kids are real deep on Rocky Horror Picture Show. They watched it, 100 times. We got them a cameo from Lil Nell.
Get out of here.
They're really deep in it, and that is a great example of something where I feel I don't know if other parents would be like, that's inappropriate or whatever, but it gives us a chance to have a lot of different conversations that I feel it's a safer context in which to have them, so where you can try to be this isn't really what we're using anymore, or this is what happened to Eddie. He's not coming back. He's gone now. They're eating him. Yes, they're eating him.
Yeah, grow up. They're eating him.
Grow up.
What happens sometimes.
It's a hard world out there.
Eddie World.
Do you know how hard Charlie tried to talk me out of that? She said, maybe it's ham. It's it's not.
So let me ask
Definitely
you something.
eating Eddie.
Let me ask you something, and I'm serious. Was the first time they saw Rocky Horror the one that we did? Was it the video? Because I did the stage show with Mary and Tommy my in-laws, Justin's.
Did y'all catch that one?
No, you didn't see it?
I was asking my
Yeah.
brothers.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Which one did I? Yeah, I saw that one. That was
Yeah.
just a delight,
Yeah.
top to bottom.
But I didn't know if it was, if that made it more.
No, it was Mickey's Monster Musical.
Oh, yeah.
It's an episode of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It's sort of like a mini movie. It's like 45 minutes long, but it is to an inexplicable degree, an exact like plot beat for plot beat remix.
Like, almost song by song. The weird thing is, not to go down this
Of
river,
Rocky Horror Picture Show is
Yeah.
the end of the sentence.
Justin
It's hilarious.
introduced me to it. Justin introduced me to it, and it's not so much that you're like, oh, they knew, they wanted you to know.
There was someone at some level that
Yeah.
was like, no one above me would notice if I did this.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do this.
It's
It's
also
bizarre. But
really
anyway,
good.
we talked about it enough where it's like, yeah, okay, we'll show you the real Rocky Horror. I think they probably saw Time Warp on like a
Kids Bop.
Yeah.
but they, and I watched it and I'm like, by and large, like this, I feel like, don't dream it, be it. Yeah, absolutely. This is more important to me than like whether there's a certain magic number at which you're ready for things that are more
Right.
like tough to wrap your head around.
Well, what's interesting to me is what I'm running. So, I see in BB a lot of the same stuff that like I kind of dealt with as a kid with like super overactive imagination and how that led to like me having a hard time falling asleep because as soon as the lights were out, I would fill in like, well, there's a vampire over there for sure, and like having to deal with that. And like she, will watch Cookies for All See, which is great. I love Cookies for All See too. But she's going through some Roblox hobbies, and it gets kind of weird in there sometimes, guys. and it'll be fine when she's watching it, and then she's bedtime, she's like, I'm kind of thinking about that weird baby thing.
Yeah.
And it's freaking me out. I'm like, okay, dude. And I had to Teresa and I had to talk about it and like make a decision of, do we stop her from watching things that would trigger her overactive imagination at bedtime, or do we just need to like talk to her and really work on like contextualizing imagination and fear and why your brain does that and all these things and see if that works first. And honestly, the answer is a balance of those two
Yeah.
things and not just saying like, it freaks her out, it's done, it's out. Because some of it is like, hey listen, take it from me kid, that overactive imagination ain't going away.
Yeah, but I would say just to, if there are any YouTubers who make kids video game programming in the audience, if you do make kids video programming, make a separate channel for Huggy Wuggy and the Poppy's Playtime and Five Nights at Freddy's. If you could just keep the jump scares in, if you could silo those off from the main channel, that would be so good.
Because sometimes you're watching, I'm opening Shopkins. Oh, that's great. And then this next one, Grandma's trying to eat me. And the two together can.
There's one Roblox that the girls are like, join us, Daddy, and I hop in, and it's you're under the sea with Ariel, and you can choose any costume from Little Mermaid you want, and you're in like a big castle, and if you leave the castle, Ariel's running around outside with a knife, she's gonna kill you.
Challenging
And I asked Cooper, I said, Cooper, why is Ariel trying to kill me? And Cooper said, because she's got a knife. I mean, you got me, kid. Yeah, absolutely.
What's she gonna do? Not stab with it?
Why would she have a knife if not to stab you?
She's not a chef. Don't be silly.
Those direct-to-video Disney sequels are wild.
It's interesting too, because like BB, she's been with me playing. She's watched me play Assassin's Creed. Doesn't bother. I know. Well, because from day one, she would watch me play, and I would say like, it's points of light. She's like, yeah. I'm like, would you hurt someone in real life? She's like, no, those are real people. These are points of light. It's been totally fine. Like violence and a thing doesn't freak her out.
Whoa, man, hold on a second. What do you mean points of light? Like it's a fake image on a screen?
Yeah.
Okay, but like, so is everything ever on TV ever.
The thing is I wanted to contextualize violence that happens in like a fighting game.
Okay.
Versus I would not do this in real life. Right? Like, and for a 3-year-old, I think it is important to establish like I'm playing a game where this is the goal and I have to fight people. In real life, I would not fight people. Because in a game, those aren't real people that I'm hurting. And it is a different context. But like for her, emotional strife, two friends arguing in a TV show, she can't handle it.
No way.
Like if there's an episode of like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic where it's like, oh, these two have some tension, she's like, can we turn it off? I can't. In the interview, I can't do this.
We all tried to watch Coco together on like a family trip, and that opening sequence where the boy doesn't listen to his grandmother, it was all of our kids were like, get this out of here! What is he doing? Your grandma said no music! What are you doing?
You broke the picture on your friend, you monster! What's wrong? I think it's gonna be okay. The number of times I've had
He goes to the underworld and he's like, this guy deserves this.
Yeah.
This is right. This is where he belongs.
The number of times I've had to say to BB, like, honey, this is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I'm pretty sure they'll work it out by the end. It's right there in the title of the show. It's gonna be okay. Dad, do you ever remember a thing where it's just like, one of us watched it or did it, and you're like, well, that messed them up for a long time.
Trying to narrow it down.
Yeah.
No, I think, listen, it sounds very naive, and I can't help how I am, but I think that if you put the right context on things, that stimulates. I think whenever I hear the argument of, and I don't know if it's ever going to go away, that video games lead to violence, I also say, well, they also lead to a lot of really cool stuff. I maintain that Griffin learned to read watching his brothers play Final Fantasy, and when the words came up on the bottom of the screen, they would read them out loud, and to this day,
God knows it wasn't you guys.
Yeah,
No.
By that point, on him, you were so
I've already taught 2 kids to read.
I was wanting to play football.
This is going to be my dumb one. Come on. I want this one strong. I don't want him to think about this one.
Dad would sit out there in the cold fall morning playing football with baby Griffin, and boy, could he throw baby Griffin a long way.
Shut that little idiot.
This is my football son.
But I think there are good things that can come of it. Lydia, my step-granddaughter, actually always had trouble with math. Still does have trouble with math, but when she was in school, the whole concept of it was just very tough for her. And then we played...
Please say Math Blaster.
No. It's not Elden Ring. It's...
Number Munchers.
What's the other one that starts with...
It's not Elden Ring. Well, that narrows it down.
I said, oh, not. If you're like Elden Ring's bitch term math problems.
Elder Scrolls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Skyrim. We would play Skyrim, and I would play Skyrim, and I'd say, okay, we have to get 9 wolf pelts, and then it was up to her
To murder the wolves, peel their skin off.
Skin
Yeah.
stick the knife in and tear. No, but it was up to her to count those, and that was something that she got better and better at, and I think it made her the math genius she is today.
On the flip side of that, though, she had to watch you play Skyrim, which just any fork that's not nailed down, this man's taking over. Poor girl had to watch you shove 5 pots into your bag and stumble over to the innkeep.
Now see, honey, the mortar and pestle is where the money's at.
If you play Elden Ring, don't try to be a completist like I am.
This man is still playing that game, as far as I can tell, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's like if you ever play Elden Ring, you might run into Dad. He's like, yes, I can show you the way out.
Every time now we do videos to record, so every time we record Adventure Zone, you can see the TV that has paused Elden Ring. Oh, better go record.
I didn't know you could see that.
Yeah, that's how video works. It's a two-way street, dude. It's fun now because there are games that I've started to play that BB is like, I like playing that game. And it's like Fall Guys. She was
Oh,
like, saw me
sure.
playing Fall Guys, she's like, I want to play Fall Guys. And then, I tell you what, man, it's a muscle that I've had to work on and build on of like, watching her just basically bounce into a wall over and over again, and she does not qualify for the thing, and I'm going, you're doing a great job! Try the left stick.
It honestly, it makes the games that do click feel like diamonds in the rough, and it makes you appreciate the games. As somebody who plays games a lot, it's like my main thing that I do when I have some, non-family, non-work, like free time.
Usually about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, right. But so I will play a game, especially if it's like a game we're talking about on Besties, and then it's on to the next one. Me and Henry have been playing the new Kirby game a few times a week since it came out, and we have beaten the crap out of that game, and we have played it so much, and it's made me appreciate it more, not having just like the way that I consume media, which is I do the thing and then I'm on to whatever the next thing is, as opposed to I like this, and I'm going to spend a long time playing Kirby, not the most mechanically complex game.
Sure.
And that's been more or less how we've played all games, and that part is very fascinating to me.
There is a game, like this kind of game, that BB can just sit and do over and over and over again. It's like, I've chosen a shape of a cake, and now I will put some icing on that cake.
Oh yeah.
And now I'll put decorations on that cake, I'll bake it, done, and now I'll tap it to eat it, begin again. And then she'll be like, look at this cake I made. I'm like, that looks great. And she's like, time for another one. And it's just,
In our house, it is, I can't proceed until someone eats it.
yeah.
I made this spaghetti with olives for you.
Yeah.
Now you have to tap the screen to eat it. Okay, good, moving on.
Sometimes BB will just announce it was for your birthday, and I'm like, it's the middle of August, but yeah, okay, cool, sounds great. Or she'll say like, Mommy, I made these pancakes for you for Mother's Day, tap on the screen. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds great. And then I'll try to eat, and she's like, no, these pancakes are for Mommy. And it's a thing. Anywho, yeah.
Kids really do
Say
the
the darndest things.
Is there something like you guys are really looking forward to, like a thing that's like, this is important to me, I love this thing, I'm looking for that perfect moment to be like, oh, you know what we could check out and see if it clicks. Is there a thing like that's you're like holding on to of like, gotta wait for the right moment?
Jeez. We did Star Wars already, but it was at a time where I heard somebody just go, ugh. It was at a point where he was not paying attention to the things that would be on TV, so I don't think that really counted. Man, I really don't. We're really into Pokemon right now, which is I could ride that wave for years. We've just been playing Pokemon Go a lot, and that has been pretty exciting. And there's a new one coming out this fall, and I'm very excited.
I can see BB on this trajectory, and Dot's not even 3 yet, but I can see Dot pretends differently than BB does, that I'm excited to see how that evolves. But I could see BB on this trajectory to when she's 10, she's gonna be so into YA fantasy novels that it's gonna be, I'm gonna be right there let's read it together, let's do it. This is the excuse I've been looking for to get back into them, kid, let's do that.
If I could change my answer, this is a bit ancillary, but nonetheless nerdy. I think Henry's interested in theater stuff. We went to see Dogman the musical.
Oh, no kidding, how was it?
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
I'd love to get out there.
He wants to go see Bluey the musical. We've listened to some musicals we're always looking for nice lullaby come down tracks at the end of the night. So I was playing him some
Stuff from Hamilton?
right. And he's really interested in it and has expressed interest in how do you do that? And that, to me, is this is going to be a flavor of nerd that could really get its claws in you, kid.
You
gotta
made
know
me
what
so happy.
Yeah.
And I do want to hear your answer, Justin, but now you made me think of a thing. And it's from a t-shirt I was wearing, and BB started asking questions about it that led to me playing her the song Eye to Eye from Goofy Movie.
Yeah.
And it finished and she went, again. We listened to it 5 times in a row. And by by the 5th time, she was singing along about half the words. And now she'll just like walk through the house singing, and it's led to her like listening to the rest of the soundtrack. And sometimes she'll just be like, after today my brain will be snoozing. And she just like walks over and I'm like, yay! It's my favorite Disney. It was like my go-to like high school to like 25 movie of like, I'm sad. Goofy movie will make me feel better. And now she has like memorized, and now like anytime I wear a Powerline shirt, she's like, hey, great Powerline shirt. And I'm like, thanks, dude. And like, it's just a thing that for what, and then to the point where I was like, she sure is singing a lot, kind of killing it for me, but it's we'll often refer to it like, as like Little Travis. Where it's like, Little Travis is kind of ruining that song for me now, actually. Can we sing something else? Anyway.
Yeah, my kids did that with Gangnam Style. Used to love that joint. Now every time they play it, I gotta chase around the kitchen with a spatula. I don't know why that's the game, but that's what we do when it's the Gangnam Style. It's the pits. I just want to vibe, you know?
What's the thing that you're looking forward to sharing with them?
After that, I don't know. What else have they ruined, you know? I'm trying to think of stuff I really love. They're not quite old enough for Disney World stuff. You know, they're not going to be into that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No, that's only for a mature palate.
Yeah, thank you for appreciating my taste.
Like, what does Winnie the Pooh represent, though?
For me, it is, I want to just get to a point. We've actually been working on, like, and this is, like, who cares, but when they started doing Roblox, Cooper started, just by sheer force of will, getting good at manipulating objects in 3D space.
Yeah.
Which is not like, you forget, like, because you grew up doing it, but it is not something that comes, like, naturally to you if you did not grow up with that. So it was really hard for Charlie. Cooper got good at it really young because she was doing the dual thumbstick thing on the screen. So I'm really looking forward to when they're both of an age where we can play through some of those, like, couch co-op, like great multiplayer things. Stuff like Viva Pinata, things like that. Or
Little
like,
Big Planet.
Little Big Planet,
Really
that kind of thing. I'm really looking forward to like when we can do that. They're close, but you know, honestly, you can't buy a jetpack for $5 in a lot of the games I like, and and in every game they like on Roblox, you can buy a jetpack.
Oh, dude, get them into Fortnite. That's all Fortnite is. Buy a jetpack.
On a similar note, one very memorable thing was playing Secret of Mana with you, Dad, on the Super Nintendo, and we played it front to back, and it's an incredible game, and it was cool to like dig into something with you that intensely. And I remember coming home from school one day and you had bought Secret of Evermore, and it was the first time I had known you to like buy a game and it not be a birthday or Christmas or something like that. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's cool. This is the next.
I really games like that where you can. There's a little bit of like the ones that you and I used to do a lot were the like adventure ones, where there could be like discussion about like, okay, what do you think we should do? Because the like Quest for Glory series, I remember we got to the end of it, and you wouldn't tell. You figured out the last thing we had to do to beat it, and you wouldn't tell me. And
like a real asshole.
No. Okay, I was furious, but I remember it exactly what you do to beat that guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I solving games like that with Dad was a big memory for me. And those are a really good fit if you're looking for stuff like we do the Room too, the iPad series. The Room, where you can like, what do you think we should do? And talk through it.
Well, I tell you another one that lends itself to it, and it lends itself to it for us was Myst.
Oh yeah.
The Myst
Because it's a
games.
good pace too, because you're not like
You don't have to hurry to run to it. There's no clock, you know, that's ticking.
We had like graphing paper taped to the wall next to our one home computer that we all shared. That it was like the scribings of a madman, just like, oh, this book, you turn the wheel to the left and it brings up the symbol for Virgo. It's like, whoa!
Do y'all ever find old game notebooks where you're like, what was that? What does this
I remember when I
mean?
started playing Stardew Valley where I just write down like people's birthdays and what they like, but it looked like I was stalking a town. Like Holly likes flowers. What? Travis, are you okay?
What was the one? What was the one, the like cute fox that was like a Zelda type? It's one word.
Oh, Tunic.
Tunic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to find my Tunic notebook.
Yeah,
so
right?
after years, like,
Yeah.
why are there so many spirals?
I also have, you talk about playing like Secret Man, I just have this really clear memory of like, how impactful GoldenEye 64 was as like, one, it's a great game. Probably my favorite video game ever, but two, like, same screen multiplayer.
Yeah.
And us like having friends over and doing like tournaments of like, okay, well you lost this round, so now you sub in for them. And like dad like refereeing, like, oh no, that's your time. He said, no slappers.
Screen looking.
It was hard not to screen look when it's all on the same
sure.
screen.
Right.
And the screen was only this big.
I think the work that you put into it, I think as a parent, or not even necessarily a parent, but like an adult, it could be an aunt, an uncle. I mean, somebody who, if there's somebody who you want to encourage to be part of this amazing community of nerdosity,
Just make that up.
you got to put the work in to see what appeals to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Like, you like that movie? Okay, well, this game is kind of like it, and vice versa. And I think one of the keys is to also steer it back to reading. I think reading is, this is a real groundbreaker. Reading is really important. But I will tell you this, you talk about holding on to things that you were waiting for your children to get older on. I was like that with so many books. And then, like when Travis got into the Xanth books,
Don't let kids read those. Hey, listen, take it from a guy who read about 20 of them before he turned 15. Don't let kids read those. There's a whole book called The Color of Her Panties. Don't let kids read those books.
but
I'm having flashbacks.
I can remember.
I saw things you wouldn't believe.
It was kind of like a rite of passage for each one of you to read Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King.
Yeah.
And you go, what? A Stephen King book? But it was high fantasy, and that kind of led into other things. But I think if you can refer back to that, because if somebody can enjoy a book,
Then they can enjoy anything, man. They're so boring.
I maintain that there's not a movie in the world as good as your own imagination.
I would just say,
Hi, Cracky.
key takeaways, I would echo that for sure, is like paying attention to where their interest is going and trying to find things that match it. But also like considering that the important thing from the things you love is not the thing itself, but how it made you feel and what you learned, right? And that, if they can get that lesson from something else, something that they connect to more deeply, if they can take that away, if they can get that sense of feeling of belonging, of home from something else, that's the most important thing as a parent, is facilitating that. And if it happens to line up with your favorite doctor from Doctor Who,
Tom Baker.
then great.
Okay, that's a great note. Thank you. We're going to wrap up because we've talked a lot and you're probably sick of it. But we've got some more stuff coming up. This is usually the point where I would ask people on the panel to like plug their different things.
Stephen McElroy is running for the House of Delegates. McElroy for W. Send your donations at Justice Essential. Let's send Sydney to the White House.
Well, that's here's what I will say. The one thing I do want to plug here, Dad wrote a children's book called Goldie's Guide to Grandchilding.
Yes.
That is perfect for parents to read to kids, anybody to read to kids, grandparents to read to kids. It's right. Make sure you check that out. We've got other things coming up. So after this, we're going to go down to do a signing at 5:30. And then our wives, Rachel and Teresa, are on a panel, Women in Digital Media at 5:30. That's over at the Hyatt Grand Hall. That's 5:30 to 6:30. Griffin and I are in a panel tonight at 7 o'clock in the Hilton Gallery 6 about maintaining mental health as a content creator. And then we got stuff.
Ouch. Which one am I not doing?
do a Rorschach test backstage, and the 2 winners get to be the ones who
Yeah.
go up.
It's not a test you can win. You don't do a Rorschach test.
Test
The person's
you
like,
can-
oh, you got it right.
I got 6 Rorschaches.
She goes in for a teddy bear.
12:20.
Did you see the hippopotamus? No?
Oh, man. I saw myself eating a big sandwich.
Oh.
So 12:20 and 12:30 tomorrow, we have photo ops. 1 o'clock signing tomorrow, and then Teresa and I are doing a 4 o'clock Schmanners thing where we're going to talk about the etiquette of meeting dragons, and then take some cues and aid them. And then we've got an evening with the McElroys tomorrow. I don't know why I flourished. At 7 o'clock.
Flourish-worthy.
With all of us and Rachel and Teresa, and we're going to be just doing all kinds of fun games and stuff over in the Hilton Grand Salon at 7 o'clock. And then Monday we got more signings and more photos and all that stuff.
I mentioned wanting to do karaoke, and Travis was like, uh-huh.
You specifically said Les Mis karaoke. Like, Travis said no to his brothers and his dad's like, you didn't get the full stupidness of the thing they did. They just said like, yeah, and then Travis said I couldn't do it. I was like, no. Justin said, how many songs from Les Mis do you think I'd be able to karaoke at that event? And I was like, we're not doing karaoke.
So we're not doing Les Mis
Oh my
karaoke?
God.
We're getting the line, everybody.
He thinks that man is me.
No.
What kind of gloves?
You all have been amazing. This is my first Dragon Con. You all have been amazing.
Pre-orders are open now. You can get that at theadventurezonecomic.com.